I feel like I wouldn't love running as much if I wasn't as good at it, but I feel like running is like everything I think about, which I think makes me good at it, because just non-stop all I think about is recovery. Like right now I'm like, oh, my legs are achy as I need to have a nap, or like last night when I was lying in bed, I'm like, oh, I've got to get up at 8 o'clock, and right now I'm still not asleep and it's like 10 o'clock. I better get to sleep in like the next 2 hours. Like it's just non-stop. I'm always just trying to think and trying to make sure my body's in the best condition it can be in.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Sam Ruth today on the Running Effect podcast. Sam is the youngest person ever to break 4 minutes in the mile, and he set a plethora of age group world records. I've left in the show notes a lot of his accomplishments, a lot of the things he's done. I'll keep this intro short so you can enjoy the full breadth of experience and stories and wisdom from the man himself. But before I hop in, I'd greatly be appreciative if you gave us a follow so you don't miss more high quality podcasts like this in the future. We release a new episode every other day. Give us a 5-star review, takes next to no time, and make sure you share the podcast with a friend. The easiest way in which we can grow is word of mouth. So text this episode to a coach, a teammate, a friend, a family member, someone who you think would find value and benefit from it. And without further ado, enjoy this conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, and an actual man, the myth, the legend. I mean, this kid is ridiculously fast at 16 years old, Sam Ruth. Ladies and gentlemen, a man 4 years younger than me, about, I don't know, a mile faster in just about every single distance, unless we're talking about the 5K, in which case I don't even want to say how much faster than me. He's back on the podcast today. I found out last time I had him on, it was his first ever podcast appearance, and he was a pro, and he was only 15 years old. By pro, I don't mean professional runner, although that's also the case, but I mean how he carries himself, how he speaks, and how to get him on, because this guy is running 2:17 in the K, which again, I would be, other side of the track through 800. So Sam, welcome back to the podcast. How you doing, man?
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm going great at the moment.
I don't know if you've seen, are you on TikTok or Instagram Reels?
I'm on Instagram Reels quite a bit, but I've deleted TikTok recently.
Okay, that's probably a smart move. There's the term that's thrown around, glazing, and after that little intro, I can just see everyone commenting, "Oh, he's glazing Sam." But I think it's merited at your age with how fast you're running. I'm sure I asked you similar questions last time we talked, but I've done quite a few podcasts since then, so I forget exactly what we talked about. But I mean, I'll ask you this again if I asked it to you in our last conversation. Are you surprised you're as fast as you are, or are you not, because this is simply the reality that you've always had?
No, it's definitely an interesting one, just because I've always grown up, like ever since primary school, I've been winning races by a reasonable amount. So I feel like I've got some fairly good genetics that help me. So it's kind of normal for me just to be winning races at the moment. So I guess it's nothing surprising new each time I run a new race. So yeah.
And remind me of the parents' background. We're talking about genetics while we're at it.
Well, my mum went to world cross country 6 times or something. Her best place was like 24th or something, but her grandma won Commonwealth Games, and her father broke the world record fastest debut marathon at like 2:14, something crazy like that. And then my dad was just an average alright runner. He ran like 1:48 for the 800, so he's just average, like just decently good runner, I guess.
And when you talk to them, did they talk about seeing signs of you being as fast as you are growing up, or is this all kind of a surprise to them?
I think they're a bit surprised, to be honest. Like, I don't think they're expecting me to be as fast as what I am, but yeah, definitely since I was young, they knew I was going to be fast, but they held me back a bit. They made sure I couldn't run until I was 13, just to make sure, I don't plateau too young. Just keep me in the right physical form to keep seeing improvements, I guess.
And as a kid, like on the playground or whatever they're doing in New Zealand, I don't know how much it differs in the US versus New Zealand. Like, did you realize you were faster than other kids?
Yeah, definitely. Just because I grew up and I was always swimming, I feel like that probably had a bit to do with it. Like, I hated it so much, but I always did it. Like, I was swimming when I was probably 13. I was getting up to 14 times a week at swimming, like in my peak. So I feel like when I'd be playing in the playground just with like 10 years old, I realized I was way fitter than everyone else. But I don't know whether that was genetic or just from all the swimming I've been doing.
Take me back to the first memories of running. You talked about your parents kind of held you back intentionally until you turned 13 years old. When you first did it, did you hate it and thought, I never want to do this? Mom and dad, why did you do this? Or was it a love at first sight relationship?
Oh, I remember my first race. I was my first year of high school is when I started, which is year 9 over in here, which is like grade 10 in the US, I'm pretty sure. Um, and my school took a whole van of boys down, and I remember the teacher putting me down as like 10th in the team. No, I don't know, like pretty low down on the list. Like, oh, you've never really ran before. I went to you here at this time, and I remember running, and I got second in the race from my school behind another guy who was like 3 years older than me, and he beat me by a second. So I think that was like a 4:21 1500 or something like that as my first ever 1500 when I was 13 years old. So that was the first memory of my race, and ever since then I just loved it so much and wanted to keep going.
And as you were coming up in the sport, did you have models, role models you looked up to? Like, did you understand your parents' success? Did you understand like the sport, or was it kind of this like whole new world where you were like, oh, who's Jakob Ingebrigtsen and Josh Kerr? Like, who are these guys? Like, did you invest in the professional side of the sport, or did it take some time to understand like who the top dogs were?
Yeah, so obviously my parents were runners, so they know quite a bit about running, but they never really talked about running too much until I started running. So I can't say I was a massive track fan myself until I actually did the sport and I could understand it through my experiences. So that's when I really started truly enjoying watching track, and I feel like I could relate to it a lot more. So yeah, no, I don't really feel like I had too many people I looked up to. Like, I didn't really watch track. I wasn't very invested into it until probably like last year when when I was like, wow, these are the guys I need to beat. Like, what are these guys doing? And I just really look into it a lot more, and I found it a lot more enjoyable. But probably like in the last couple of years when I've been watching a lot more track, I've just really liked the people who have been role models for me haven't been like Jakob Ingebrigtsen, because, like, he's on the other side of the world. He's like 25, 26. So I feel like that's quite hard to relate to. I like people I look up to are like Sam Tanner, like people that are just really close to me, and like I see him 3 times a week. So someone who's really close to me, I can have like easy as conversations to, and he just seems like a normal guy.
How much humility have you brought into a guy like Sam Tanner's life? I asked that jokingly. The guys on your team. Did it take some time for them to like be comfortable with this 15-year-old boy hanging around and hanging in workouts?
Yeah, I feel like it happened so fast because when I joined my training group, it was just me and my mate who were training together, and then we ended up. So there was 2 groups, like a slower group and a faster group, and we would always be in the slower group, and I'd be so scared to train the faster group because I never felt like I belonged in that faster group. But as soon as I switched to that faster group, I feel like I could feel some of the tension in the boys. They were like, "What is this boy doing here?" And they'd start training way faster just to try and drop me every session, because obviously I don't want the like 14-year-old hanging around them in training, so they just slowly speed it up, and the trainings got really competitive, which I enjoyed so much. But yeah, no, the atmosphere definitely changed a bit. I'd say from my point of view, I felt like the training group was the most competitive when I was a 14-year-old trying to keep up with him.
And explain to me like your setup. Are you just like I'm trying to think U.S. to New Zealand equivalents, but like, are you just like a normal high school student? You go to school and then you go train with the professional group, or how does like your current setup and situation work? Even in the U.S., it's not really normal. I don't know if we've really ever seen a high school. Actually, recently Cooper Luttenhouse, he turned pro, and I think he just goes to high school and then he trains after. But it's a rare world for me to even understand a quote unquote
Yeah.
high school kid being pro. So what's your setup look like on a day-to-day basis?
All right. So my setups, I live in Tauranga, which is probably a city with a population of around 150,000 people. There's only one track here, so the track's a very busy place. At the track, we've got 2 groups: my school group and the Craig Kirkwood group. Craig Kirkwood's my coach, but everyone down there always trains at the same time. Craig Kirkwood's a triathlete and running coach. So he's got it's probably about 50 people in our group, so it can get really busy down at the track. Loads of people usually come up and train with us. So now the group's real busy, real big. Me and Tanner are the only. Hayden Wild used to be in our group, who's an Olympic silver medalist in the triathlon. So yeah, he actually came and warmed up with us on Saturday, which is cool because he's moved over to Andorra or something. He's doing a bit of training over there now. He's left Craig. So our training group's real big, real enjoyable. And then my school, I'm actually on a massive school holiday right now, which started on November and I go back to school in like end of February, so that's about a 4-month holiday, which is awesome as. But when I am going to school, I go to school from like 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. every day, probably about the usual, and then head to the track after school, which is cool. And at the track, everyone's always training there at 4 p.m. Same with TBC, so yeah, it's a real great community. And then I just come back home. I'm living at home all the time at the moment, so yeah, it's a very chill and consistent life.
Would you ever come to the NCAA? What I laugh about in that conversation is you're honestly still kind of young to be talking about college, but I'm sure you've thought about it. Have you thought about coming into the NCAA, or do you feel, pretty confident that you'll stay back in New Zealand and you just keep running pro?
Yeah, this is the biggest question at the moment. I put a lot of thought into this question because Nike has been tempting me with a lot of pro offers at the moment, and I'm really really tempted to take them just because I haven't even started my second to last year of school yet, so I've got 4 more school years ahead of me before I can like even finish high school. So that's a lot more schooling to go, and each day the pro offer is looking a little bit more tempting, just because when I think about it, it's like this is a pro deal for like over 5 years, like 7 years or something. Like they'll take me all the way through to when I would be finishing the NCAA. So, and like, why would I turn that down? That's the dream. That's my whole life goal, is to be a professional runner. Like it's almost too good to turn down. So every single day I feel like it's getting a little bit more tempting to take.
And you're currently an NIL athlete with Nike. Do I have that right or no?
Yeah, I've got a
Yeah.
NIL until the end of 2026, but I can re-sign whenever I want, and they're like willing to do that.
And in regards to that, like how crazy was that process? Such a young age, having an NIL with Nike. You're only a few years into running at this point. Like, what was the most surprising part of all this to you? The times, Nike, running with professional runners. Like, what surprises you?
Oh, that's a hard question. It's all pretty surprising, to be honest, but it's just like this is just how I've grown up, so none of it's like unbelievable to me. Um, what's probably craziest to me is like this is my future. Like this can be my future if I want it to be my future, and I can make that decision whenever I want. Like probably start start of last year, I was having like conversations with Nike. Like I'd go have a conversation, and they'll be giving me a couple like free pairs of shoes and stuff, and then they'll be talking about like considering a deal with me if I get faster. And I feel like the switch from like just getting free pairs of shoes and just to like getting maybe signing a pro contract has probably surprised me the most. And like, oh, this is actually what I'm going to do with my future, and I really hope it is. That's probably the coolest and most exciting thing that's happened.
And you're just 16. How long have you been 16 for?
Since April. So a while
But
now.
still 16. Yeah. 16, still some time before you turn 17. So I'm sure you're going to set some more age group world records. Is any of this surprising to you in terms of like your, I don't know. It's not like I even think of my life, right? Most 20-year-olds don't have like a full-time podcast and live by themselves, and some of the different things I'm blessed with in life. And I think even for me at times, it's been a gut punch at times, being like, oh, most 20-year-olds aren't like, I don't even have the words for it, but like developed enough to, sometimes
Yeah,
I
yeah,
realize my life and I'm like, whoa, I shouldn't be here. Or like, I'm just like not suited to deal with X, Y, or Z, or,
yeah.
fly across the country all the time. For you at 16, do you ever have that feeling of like, oh my gosh, most 16-year-olds are not making career defining decisions with a company called Nike and, you know, going after school to go train with a professional, coach and teammate? Like, how often are you aware of some of these bigger decisions that most kids don't have to face for like another 8 years?
Yeah. Um, I honestly don't think about it too much. I like to see myself as a fully grown adult, you know. I feel like I've got every opportunity an adult has. I just get to live at home, and my dad helps me out with like a lot of understanding the situations and all the deals and all that. But you know, I've got no reason not to be competing with these adults. You know, like I've got every opportunity. I've got a great physio. I've got a great coach. You know, I love the sport so much. I've got all the right ingredients to the cake, I guess.
Do you have any siblings or is it just you?
No, I've got a little sister. She's just started running and she's doing pretty well at the moment. So, yeah,
Do you feel bad that you set an unrealistic expectation to live up to for her?
I feel a little bit bad. Like everyone's keeps comparing age group world best times to her, and I feel like she's actually doing reasonably well. Like, she's obviously not training too much. Like, she's just started training, so she's actually doing really well. She's kind of following in my footsteps, and I could definitely see some uh crazy times from her, and she could definitely just achieve what I've been achieving.
In regards to your training, your mindset, you kind of mentioned the setup you have, but you're also 16. So I'll ask you the question, like, do you feel like you treat your life like you're a professional runner? Or are you still enjoying youth a little bit, go out, screw around with the friends a little and still hit the workout in the morning?
I feel like I'm just in that transition phase right now that I'm switching more from like having fun, you know, doing all that fun stuff to switching into like a professional athlete. I'm making those sacrifices now in this stage of my life where, you know, my mates are like, oh, do you want to come up and stay with me for the weekend? And they live in a different city. I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't actually do that. I've got to stay here and train. You know, I'm making more of those decisions now. Like, I'm in bed at 10 o'clock every night. I just, as I guess, like, I'm missing out on some fun, but I feel like in my eyes, the sacrifice is so much more worth it.
Do you feel like you truly love running, or do you think that you came to love running because you realized how good you were at it?
I feel like I wouldn't love running as much if I wasn't as good at it, but I feel like running is like everything I think about, which I think makes me good at it.
Hmm.
Because like um just non-stop, all I think about is recovery. Like right now I'm like, oh, my legs are achy as I need to have a nap. Or like last night when I was lying in bed, I'm like, oh, I've got to get up at 8 o'clock, and right now I'm still not asleep and it's like 10 o'clock. I better get to sleep in like the next 2 hours. Like it's just non-stop. I'm always just trying to think and trying to make sure my body's in the best condition it can be in.
We talked a little bit about a name, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who is as much as a real figure as he is just a name and a title to put up because everyone knows who Jakob Ingebrigtsen is and everyone knows he was super good at certain ages. But you also, have close to you, you've got, Cam Myers, who I've spoken with on the podcast before, excellent athlete. I felt like he was kind of posed as the next Jakob Ingebrigtsen. And then Niels Laros really had a breakout year last year. He didn't do as well at the World Championships, but going into it, he was a lot of people's pick to win. Obviously, super, super young athlete from the Netherlands. How do you view yourself in regards to these fingers? I think Jakob's probably the biggest one just because he's the guy that like has the target on his back every year. I feel like Cam and Niels are still kind of waiting for that one race that defines them. When you hear your name in the mix with Jakob Ingebrigtsen and you're beating some of his records, is that crazy to you after looking at all that he ultimately went on to do? Because there are a lot of childhood prodigies. Not everyone continues, and Jakob is kind of the one guy who's gotten better every single year.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Like I can't really comprehend like how that's going, and like I for me, I'm always like I'm on the right track now, but will I be on the right track next year? And that's where I always see myself doubting myself because I'm obviously comparing myself to Jakob Ingebrigtsen, and you know, I feel like Jakob Ingebrigtsen is took a different pathway in his childhood to me. Like he trained way harder at 16 than what I'm training today, which which I think led to him like he's had a wonderful career, but he won the Olympics at age 20 and no, was it age 20? Yeah.
Something crazy like that. Yeah.
And then he just I feel like that like his career since then's completely plateaued, and since he's been 20, he's like been exactly the same skill level. I want to do something quite like a bit different, so my training's just going up in like little blocks. So I feel like my if I had to take a guess, I hope to see more improvements than Jakob Ingebrigtsen throughout my career, just based on how much room left I've got for extra training and everything like that. But yeah, the other guys like Niels Laros and Cam Myers, um, that's like the step. Like they've shown me the steps it's going to take to get up to Jakob's level, I guess. So yeah, that's real nice having people like that in the world, just showing like, oh, these guys are following in Jakob's steps. Obviously, with like Niels Laros even being a bit faster over like 800 and having a better kick than Jakob and stuff like that. Like it's so cool to see people like that showing like it's possible.
At what age, and it might be this year. I feel like last year you kind of came onto the world radar. It's like, oh my gosh, 15-year-olds, breaking four. But I feel like, a recent result like 217 in the 1K and some of the different things you're doing. I remember seeing on Instagram a few months ago, it's like, oh, Sam Ruth's opening up his season. You just did some like ridiculously stupid stuff over a few day period. And it's like, oh my gosh, this kid's coming for it all. Anyways, question being, last year, get onto the world scene. This year, it seems like you're kind of putting up world-class times. What point this year, next year, 5 years from now, not going to be 5 years, but at what point do you think you'll start to be in the conversation with, some of the Jakob, Cam, Niels, chopping it up with them on the Diamond League stage?
Yeah, it's so hard to tell. I'd love to say as soon as possible, but you know that's the thing with me. That's where I struggle. I'd love to do that as soon as possible, but that's what would hold me back in my career because I could just jump in, like cram myself, like overtrain, make sure that I'm in peak condition like next year to be jumping in like diamond leagues, and like doubling my mileage, making sure that I'm super fast. But that's where my coach comes into play, and he makes sure that I do everything in a reasonable amount for my age. So I just can't be too impatient and just got to keep seeing where my train goes, and the time will come, I guess.
Is it crazy to you I mean, it probably wasn't that long ago that you didn't even know what the Diamond League circuit was. Like, is it crazy to you even be asked these questions?
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like just going around the world, traveling around the world, doing what I love would just be my dream, and I couldn't wait for it to be any sooner.
For you, do you study the sport? Are you the type that goes on YouTube and watches old races? Or, I mean, like when we were talking about Jakob and we were talking about, some of the races I knew him for, I'm like, oh, Sam was like 8 or 9 years old. So you probably wouldn't have been watching the TV when those things were happening. But like, how much of the history of the sport do you try to study and watch and understand what guys are legit?
Yeah, I'm definitely up to date right now in the world with what's happened, and I do go back and watch some previous races just if I'm interested. But I don't think I'm too updated with what's happened past like 5 years ago, to be honest.
And in terms of training, how does your coach train you? What's mileage look like? How often are you working out? How often are you in the gym? What does that, generally look like? Do you feel like your potential lies in more training throughout the years or more consistency or something else?
Yeah, I feel like my consistency is really good. Like, I've had no niggles really in the last like year. Like my training's been so consistent. I haven't really been getting sick. I've just got a new physio, which has like really good. We're not doing any weight stuff at the moment. We're just making sure my form's all proper and my body's aligned right before we get into some more weight stuff. And then once all that gets going, we can up the mileage a bit. But at the moment, like last week, I did like 89 Ks, which is probably one of my biggest weeks ever. It's probably like, what's that, like 55, 56 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, considering I've done like a 5K and everything like that, that's really not that much. But I'm racing at 800 on Saturday, so I guess that's quite a bit for an 800. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
And what are the goals for this year? What's your main target? What are you targeting?
I've got World Juniors in July, which is really good. So that's probably my. Is it July? I'm not too sure. That's in Eugene, Oregon, where Prefontaine is. So that's my goal race. If you're talking like goal times, I really couldn't tell you. I'd probably want to run this indoor season, which I leave for in probably like 2 weeks. I'd probably want to run like 3:35, maybe a bit faster. I'll see how it goes.
It's crazy, man. For pre, would that be your first time in the States, or have you been in the States before?
I raced Arcadia on my birthday, which was in April, and then I went over and raced Prefontaine, which I don't think I was too prepared for. So I've been there 2 times just for races, and those are the 2 times I've been to the States.
Did you do the 2 mile at Arcadia or something else?
Yeah, no, I did the 2 mile.
Okay. How did that go? I didn't realize you raced that.
It was in April, so it was right at the end of my track season, because my track season starts at kind of like November-ish. So that's right at the end of track season. So, I didn't have that much of a base still left in the legs. So jumping into a 2 mile is definitely interesting. But yeah, it was so good racing. Like that field was just so deep. Like there's so many people in it. And it was quite tactical, which I probably regret now. But I ended up getting third in it behind Owen and Tostenson, which is all right result, I guess. Probably where
And
I went and ranked.
yeah, what grade would you have been in? Like US level, sophomore?
I would have had 3 more years left of school, so I guess sophomore.
Yeah, sophomore, junior, senior. Um, yeah, it's crazy, man. Do you anticipate doing any other US high school races at all but before, or are you just kind of like, that was my one shining moment?
After that, I'm not too sure. I feel like you get way more out of just jumping in a pro race and running fast than jumping in a race like that. There's way more to gain off running a ridiculously fast time, I guess, nowadays.
When you think about, between now and we'll call it, college/pro, pro if you go pro, college if you go college, is the goal every year like, hey, I want to set as many age group world records as possible? Is it like slowly make your way onto the Diamond League circuit? How do you kind of view building on what you've already done year over year?
Yeah, I feel like the world bests are kind of like a good tracker to see if I'm heading in the right direction. But I feel like my goal isn't in the next year or like even in the next 2 years is probably like 2032 Olympics, maybe 2028 Olympics if I'm in really good form. But yeah, I'm definitely looking for the big picture, and I definitely yeah.
And then in regards to advice for, younger athletes, what would you say to, let's flip the script. What would you say to an athlete who feels like they're busting their ass and maybe they're not running 335 or shooting around 335 in the 15? What words of advice would you have for a kid who still has big goals and dreams in the sport, but hasn't necessarily, risen as fast as you have?
Yeah, I feel like the key to the whole sport is just loving it, because when you love it, it's so much easier to stay consistent. Like when you're loving it, all you think about is, oh, when can I next run? What can I do to get better at running? Which just leads to better consistency. And when you've got consistency, like consistency for me is literally the key to success. Like so basically I'd say love it, and then have a good physio, have a good coach, just to make sure like you have the willingness to be consistent, but then you also have the right people around you to make sure you're not getting injured and you're doing the right training.
Obviously, for you, you're at this skill where you're setting these records and you're on this kind of path that we've never seen before of an athlete. We've seen, similar examples like a Jakob or a Cam, like I mentioned before, but it seems like you're kind of the best to ever do it given your age up until this point. Do you ever think about going down as like the greatest runner ever in history?
That honestly doesn't cross my mind at all. Like I never really, I never really think about it or see myself in that position. But I'd obviously love that to happen and all. But I just want to take it one step at a time, and hopefully it ends up being like that.
Is it hard to stay in the present moment, keep it one step at a time when you've got, Nike contracts and big future ahead?
Yeah, I think so. Just because, like, I've got school coming up, and it's just like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I can be doing whatever, but I'm still going to be going to school in the next couple months. So I can't be like, oh, I'm the greatest runner of all time, and then turn up to maths and do maths for like an hour, and then go to physics. Like, that keeps you pretty grounded, and then the people around you also. So yeah.
Are you a legend at your high school? Like, do you feel like most people know who you are, or are you pretty under the radar?
I don't really know. Like, in a lot of assemblies, I get mentioned a lot, but I don't really like being like known as the legend at school. Like if someone was asking me for like a photo at school, like I'd just be like no, because half the time like it'd just be like a mate joking or something. But I wouldn't really give out photos at school or like signatures or anything. Like I just like to keep it as a normal person around school.
And in terms of 2026, we're in January. What advice would you have for a kid who wants to have a breakthrough year, wants to make 2026 the best year of their life?
I feel like it's just consistency. Like that's the key to success is consistency. So yeah, I feel like if you want to have a breakthrough year, you just gotta be consistent and just keep pushing and don't try and peak too soon.
Consistency, secret sauce of life. I do want to ask you before I let you go. New Zealand, what's it like training, living there? I've never been. Honestly, I haven't seen too many photos. Would you say it's a good place to train, live? How do you like it?
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful place and there's a whole bunch of beautiful people here. Like I've got a great group of mates. So especially where I live, like it's a pretty low key town. Like no one's really too serious around here. So it's so awesome. There's quite a few good running loops. Like from my house, I've probably got a loop from 5Ks up to like 18Ks, which will be my longest run. So it's so awesome just having a loop for every distance. And then there's oh yeah, no, it's just so good living here.
Would you ever want to move, or do you like it enough where you're like, nah, this is my place to stay?
Yeah, no, I think I'd definitely have to consider at least going away from New Zealand a couple months a year just to go to altitude, find some people to train with, all that when I get a bit better. But for now, when I've still got high school and all that, I'll stay in New Zealand, I think. Saying that though, I am gonna be going to Europe for a couple months in next year, which is still when I'll be in school. But yeah,
I love it, man. Sam, always generous with your time and flexible. You're so many hours ahead of me. I don't even know the calculation. So appreciate your flexibility. Always appreciate your wisdom. And man, I'm rooting you on. I'm cheering you on. Anytime I see one of your results pop up on Instagram, I am very keen to see what it was and normally to watch you win by half a lap. And yeah, man, really appreciate it. Keep crushing it and know you have a big fan across the pond, as they say.
thanks, Dominic. Thank you so much for having me on.